The main reason why the Thunder find themselves up 3-0 against the Minnesota Timberwolves is because they're that good of a team. When we talk about these all-time great teams, we shouldn't be shocked when they have all-time great performances. Yes, the Minnesota Timberwolves beat them by like 42 points in Game 3. I acknowledge that. But that doesn't necessarily take away from the fact that the OKC Thunder is they're playing at an all-time level. So that is the main reason why the Oklahoma City Thunder find themselves up in this series 3-1. But with that being said, let me talk about Anthony Edwards for a second. Let me start this by talking about Anthony Edwards. One thing that we know, and one thing that when situations like this happen, when a series gets out of hand, when one team is up another or one game away from advancing, that's when the blame game starts to happen. And look no further than, obviously, most people pointing their attention to Anthony Edwards. And you're asking yourself, how is it that you can consider Anthony Edwards a superstar, or how do people consider Anthony Edwards a superstar, yet and still he's getting overshined, not just by the Oklahoma City Thunder, but by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the other star that is on the other team? When you look at Game 4, the Oklahoma City Thunder won 128-126. Anthony Edwards had 16 points, shot 5 for 13, 1 for 7 from 3. I want to first make this very clear. Anthony Edwards will one day, with his skill set, the way that he approaches the game, he will win an MVP one day. I don't have any question about that. And in the same breath, outside of Game 4, or outside of Game 3, Anthony Edwards has struggled with consistency in this series. One thing that we have to understand, and one thing that needs to be made clear, is there's a reason why there's different levels in school. There's a reason why there's kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, all the way up to 12th, and then obviously some people go to college. It's a clear indication of advancement. It's a clear indication that you have successfully gotten to the point where you get to this certain grade, and once that you have shown and demonstrated that you are smart enough or you have done enough to advance, you then advance. Anthony Edwards, and we should look at almost everyone's career like this. Anthony Edwards is in school, and he hasn't gotten to the 12th grade yet. What I mean by that is people forget that there is areas to grow. Like Anthony Edwards I think he's in his 4th or 5th year. You're not a complete player in 4 to 5 years, especially when you were in college for 1 year. Now, no, I'm not shooting Anthony Edwards any bail. I'm just telling you that two things cannot be true in this instance. You can't say that the Oklahoma City Thunder is an all-time team, they're such a great team, and then wonder why Anthony Edwards is struggling against this team. One of the biggest reasons why we say that the Oklahoma City Thunder is an all-time team is because of their defensive pressure. It seems that every single time. In fact, the craziest stat is this. In game 4, Oklahoma City Thunder double-teamed Anthony Edwards 100% of his drives. I'll say that one more time for people that don't understand. Anthony Edwards was doubled 100% of his drives. That means every single time he drove the ball, he saw a double team. I just said that Anthony Edwards will one day win an MVP. He's that talented. He has that much charisma. I think he is that good. But I also understand that he is not at his peak yet. He's still learning the game. He's still young. Do I think that he is the Batman of that team? Yes, he is the leader. But I do also think that there is areas to grow. One thing that I do know, if you look at the Western Conference Finals from last year to this year, Anthony Edwards looked extremely different. And you're probably thinking to yourself, well, didn't he look better last year? Yeah. But the Dallas Mavericks, they're not known for their defensive pressure. They were known for having a great offense in Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. Anthony Edwards has never seen this amount of pressure, this amount of attention in a series. And one thing that we do know about an NBA series, a playoff series, is they're going to expose your faults and they're going to expose your feats. And Anthony Edwards, this is just yet another year of growth. He is going to have to learn how to adjust, how to deal with a defense that is solely focused on him. And on top of that, because I'm sure almost every defense is focused on him, but this good of a defense being solely focused on you, he's going to have to learn how to do that. You see, people look at Luka, people look at LeBron, people look at those KD, when you come in and you're already that good. Not everyone is that. Now, I'm not saying that Anthony Edwards won't get to that level, but what I'm saying is not everyone is just a fully cooked turkey year one. I think the Minnesota Timberwolves are down 3-1, not because Anthony Edwards is the main reason. It's because they're playing up against a great team, a team that a lot of people think, including myself, will win the NBA championship. In the same breath, though, Anthony Edwards has to be more consistent. And he said something at the end of this game, at the end of game 4, that showed me where the growth needs to happen the most. One thing that we talk about, and one thing that we do know, is every team goes into a game with a game plan. If you don't have a game plan, 9 times out of 10, you're going to lose. You want to be prepared. And Anthony Edwards says something. He said, no, I didn't. I think I played the way that I was supposed to play. We had a game plan, and shots just didn't fall, and they were an incredible team. And he was speaking on how he can only take 13 shots in a game 4, or how he was 1 for 7, so he only taken 7 threes, and he was the league leader in 3-pointers made this year. And how he only had 16 points in a game where obviously they lost. I'm not putting this on the coaching staff. But what I'm saying is there's a reason. Now, you can also look and say, well, the Minnesota Timberwolves, they actually played an okay game. Jaden McDaniels had 22 points. Dante DiVincenzo had 21. Nickeil Alexander-Walker had 23. And they got to 126. Obviously, they lost by 2 points, but it was a solid game. And again, I'm not putting game 4 loss solely on the back of Anthony Edwards. But what I'm saying is there are times when you have to say to hell with the game plan, give me the ball. It felt like that's what he was doing in game 3, and they destroyed the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, yes, I do think a lot of that was, everyone was shooting the lights out the ball, and I don't think that's necessarily, you can contain, or you can continue that, but Anthony Edwards is going to have to be confident enough to be like, to hell with the game plan, give me the ball. And I feel like there have been a lot of times, and we saw that last year, there are a lot of times where he just confides to the game plan. And sometimes the game plan isn't the best game plan to have in that moment. It's all about adjustments too. That's kind of that's one thing that's been plaguing the Minnesota Timberwolves this entire series. It doesn't seem like, you know what? Let me not say that. Let me say this. One of the beauties of being Robin is that you never get the blame as heavily as Batman would get, as heavily as the main person will get. You see that all the time. You can lose a series, but you're not going to blame the second option more than the first option, because the first option is the first option for a reason. Oh, man. And as much as it pains me to say, and it pains me to say this because I gave this man, I did a segment on him. He has been incredible majority of these playoffs. But another reason, and I would honestly say that this reason is even more prevalent than Anthony Edwards. Another reason why the Minnesota Timberwolves are down 3-1 right now is because of Julius Randle. I know. I stood on this table and said that Julius Randle was having an exceptional playoffs, which he was. I said that Julius Randle was the main reason why they find themselves in the Western Conference Finals, and I believe that. He was incredible against the Lakers. He was incredible against the Warriors. But if you want to point blame, Julius Randle is one of the biggest reasons, if we're talking about solo blame, one of the biggest reasons why the Minnesota Timberwolves find themselves down 3-1. You know why it's also important? Oh, not important. Let me say this. You know why it's also great to be Robin is because you don't have the responsibility to carry the team. What you do have, though, is the responsibility to be as consistent with your game as possible. Because as much as it's not talked about, your consistency helps the main person. Now, not everyone's role is the same, but Julius Randle has been consistently inconsistent this series. He'll have 28 points one game, 6 points the next. 28 points the next game, 6. What does he have? 5 points in game 4. So we even have an explosion game or nothing. What we're seeing is if Julius Randle allows the game to dictate, or allows the game to dictate his mood. If he's not hitting, and as we saw in game 4, he wasn't hitting early, so he just started floating. He was just there. The aggressiveness that we've seen all playoffs was gone. We also saw that in game 2. I want to make it clear. Again, we're not here, meaning we're not here in the sense of the Thunder being up 3-1 because there's something wrong with Minnesota in a sense. We're here because the Oklahoma City Thunder is a dominant team. However, what is also true is this is just another learning step in Anthony Edwards' basketball life. That he's going to have to learn how to be consistent. And he's going to have, because I think that he is a star. I think that he is already a superstar. In fact, I'll say this. I don't know if he's a superstar, because one thing that we do know about superstars, they are consistent. But he is damn close to one. But he's going to have to learn how to be aggressive and how to be continuously aggressive in situations like this, where you're going up against a great defense and they're solely focused on you. On top of that, as much as I praise Julius Randle is a lot to blame for why this Minnesota team is down 3-1. I think if Julius Randle was playing at his best, they'd still be down. But he's been far from his best this entire series. I'm not going to say playoffs, this entire series. You're watching one team that has it dialed in, and everyone is playing to their ability in the Oklahoma City Thunder compared to a team that has just been inconsistent this series. Because I don't think what we saw in Game 3 when we saw the Minnesota explosion, I don't think that's really them. But what we did see in Game 3 or Game 4 could be them. Again, they lost by 2 points. With Julius Randle only having 5 points and Anthony Edwards only taking 13 shots. So, we'll see. I'm not going to kill Anthony Edwards, and I'm not going to say that, he's the main reason for this. He's not. And I'm also not even going to say he's the main reason that they lost Game 4. I want him to be more aggressive, but you're playing against an all-time team. Oh, man, you stayed to the end of the video. I appreciate you. If you like what you saw, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss any content from your boy. You can also go back and watch past episodes, past clips, and don't forget that the Unpopular Podcast, new episodes drop every Wednesday and Saturday. Appreciate you.